Good morning, ladies. It's Amber Masterson with Created Journey, and I'm bringing you day 41 of our 100 Days of Praise and Positivity. This week, we are going to be using watercolors, and I'm super excited to see how this will stretch us this week to create something beautiful and learn a little bit of maybe something new about watercolors, maybe something that I don't even know right now, but as the week progresses, we will certainly be stretched, I'm sure. Today, we're going to be talking about peace and peace ruling in our heart and showing God's love. So, we're going to jump in and do our entry for the morning, and then at the end, we will talk about the devotion. So, here we go. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what the name of these watercolors are, but they're Kuretake watercolors. I've got a set of 36 here that I'll be using today. And I just am going to pull out a variety of different greens, and I'm going to use them all. I definitely want to give our page some depth and dimension, and watercolors allow us to do that. Allow us to do that pretty easily when we mix and match and we add different shades to it. I will be the first to tell you I am no pro at watercoloring. I'm really not a pro at anything. Everything I've done is self-taught, so I just have fun, and I'm going to encourage y'all to do the same. It is not about like making something perfect. It's about stretching yourself, getting into the word, meditating on him when we do this. So, I want to make a very leafy page today. So that's why I'm pulling out all different shades of green, and I'm just going to mix and match, and we're going to see what we end up with. So I'm using a normal brush today. I'm no expert at this, so I don't even know what kind of brush that I'm using, but it's just one that when I press down, it spreads because I want the tips of my leaves to be more of a point. And then as I go down, I'll increase the pressure of my paintbrush to widen the leaf out. And then I'm going to lessen the pressure as I get closer to the base. And so that's really what I'm doing today. Um, it's really nothing fancy, but it kind of looks fancy when you get done. So that's pretty fun. Um, I do go over each leaf at least a couple of times, sometimes more than that, because when you do that, you're adding more color. So it's going to be darker in those places. It just gives it some dimension, I feel like. So I'm going to make this leafy pattern all over my page. Feel free to do these leaves however you want. I mean, I've done leaf patterns where they hang down. We actually did a similar look with some tombos where they were like different leaves hanging down. If y'all went through that with me, you could do a leafy wreath where you go in a circle and write whatever you want to write in the center. But I just decided that I was going to make a leaf branch across my page. And so that's what I ended up doing. And then I ended up pulling out one of my glaze pens. I'm kind of stuck on my glaze pens right now. And I just wrote out a segment of the verse. I also did my Today I Praise God section with the glaze and our word of the day, which is example. So, in the center of my page, I ended up hand lettering out, let the peace of God rule my heart. And okay, I did have to dry it a bit because it was needing a little bit more drying. But anyways, okay, so the inner portion of the page, I wrote, let the peace of God rule my heart. And I've done this in a variety of different hand lettering scripts. You will see I made an oopsie and I smeared it. I did come back with a white Signo pen and kind of corrected it a little bit. And so that helped it not show the mistake quite as bad. Then, okay, at the top, I did example, and I always do try to like darken or thicken up my downstrokes. So I also did that with example. But today, my praise God section was this. I said, today I praise God for making each of us unique. Please help me show love no matter the situation. When things drift to a negative space, help me to remain positive. And so that was my praise for the day. I ended it by drawing everything, and we're going to take a final look. Our verse of the day today was found in Colossians 3:15, and I'm going to read it in its entirety. This says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace, and be thankful." So, I will say, we live in kind of a crazy, ever changing world. There's always something new being thrown at us. There's always a new idea or a new political party or something going on at work or with our families. And I feel like our world is ever changing. We tend to stay really busy and chaotic. And so my question today is peace. And really my question to me as I was going through this devotion is peace ruling my heart? Is peace ruling your heart today? Okay. So if the answer to that question is no today, I want us to figure out how we can get this peace that is God's will for our life. So, first I want to think of like the things that we intake on a regular basis. Let's go to James 2:17 first. The wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. All right. If we are constantly taking in knowledge and thoughts and words that are not lining up with the Bible, it's time to evaluate what we're listening to, what we're reading, the activities that we're doing. And so I feel like that we need to think like, what are we doing in our lives? What are we spending our time on? What are we watching on TV? What kind of commentary are we reading? What kind of books, newspapers? What kind of music are we listening to? What kind of speakers or really like pastors, speakers, sermons, devotions. What are we listening to on a regular basis? Is what we're listening to lining up with godly wisdom? If it's not, it could be stealing your peace. Next, let's talk about our attitudes and our outlooks and even our behavior towards others, but even our behavior and attitudes about ourselves. Okay? Now, I want you to take all of these things that you are surrounding yourself with on a daily basis, and I want us to decide how that's influencing our life. Are we mirroring? Are we mirroring the philosophies and the behaviors of the people that we are surrounding ourselves around? Are we surrounding ourselves with negativeness and the negativeness is flowing out of our life? And I want to take you back to a devotion we did in this book a few weeks ago where it was talking about the marbles and the pink marbles and the blue marbles. That if we're full of pink marbles and somebody bumps us, pink's going to fall out. So if we're full of, let's say that pink is positive and someone comes and bumps us, those pink, aka positive, is going to flow out. But if we're constantly filling ourselves with negative and divided material and stuff that's not coming from God, then ultimately we're not going to flow from a place of peace, comfort, being considerate, being full of mercy. Good fruit is not going to flow from our life. So, do we need to reevaluate what we're spending our time on and what we're filling our minds with day in and day out? And is that maybe starting to reveal the root of why we're not living in the peace that is God's will for our life? Now, only you can answer these questions. I I don't know the day in and day out of your life. I don't know what you're filling your life with. But I would encourage you to go and take a second look at those things and start weeding out the things that aren't bringing God into your life, that's not bringing you closer to Him, and see if that peace starts to blossom more in your life. All right, ladies, I know that I'm going over time today. I am super close to the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to get off here. But, ladies, I love you guys. Thank you for continuing on this journey, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.